A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for staying tuned to Y254 TV. I hope you've had a lovely day. Karibu sana. This is the Power Talk Show, and I am your host, Cheryl Blessing. And this evening, as usual, we're having another amazing conversation, and I'm focusing on love particularly because in the past few months, we've been hearing a lot of quotes going around about marriage and the kind of people who are attracted to marriage and love in general. Do we still think it's worth the commitment? Do we think love is something that we still want to actively pursue in our current setting today? That's what I want us to get into this evening so that we can figure out the ins and outs of what's expected and what perhaps we have set the standard as, and how best we can navigate love and marriage if that is the goal that we want to achieve at the end of it. So I'm joined on set by Nikki Nyokabi, who's a counseling psychologist and a content creator. Karibu sana Nikki. Ukwaje?
Niko poa. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah. I like the way you've said glad, because we have another guest who's called Glantwill.
Wow.
So he's coming also very shortly. He's been here before. Now, Ada, to join on this conversation. It's so exciting to have you on here. And I want us to get into conversation ya mapenzi, because you know, with this generation, we've been saying millennials and Gen Zs have been moving away from the traditional idea of love and marriage, but still kuna watu wenye wana believe in love. Na juzi tukasikia Rono akisema marriage hubamba mafala, and so many people resonated with that. So many people shared their experiences. Na mimi nataka nijue leo, do you think marriage inabamba mafala, ama do you think love is still worth the commitment? Go to our platforms at Y254 across all socials and just drop me a comment. Drop me, share your experience, give me an opinion, and let me know what you think about this conversation. Because Mimi, let me be honest, I'm really excited because I'm one of those people who still believes in love. I still think marriage is something that's so worth it, and you have to put in the work. But sasa, context ya leo, do we honestly, genuinely think love is something that can work? Do we feel like it's something that's realistic, or is it something that you want to actively pursue? Go to our platforms at Y254 and tell me your comments. Uniambe opinion yako, maoni yako. Ata kama uko na DM ama uko na bibi ama nini, let me know by going to our platforms. So finally, nimwambia Glantwill ana to join, na ni kama alikuwa amengoja tu tumuintroduce. Yani special guest. So we're here with him. He's just come on, and he's also a content creator. He's been here mara mob sana. Glantwill ukwaje?
I am good. And
Karibu.
Yeah. Man of the hour.
Sindio?
Lazima nikuwa introduced.
Na Mava, let me tell you, my guests are looking so good. I want to get into this conversation because we have a lot. We have a lot to to get into. So let me start first of all with Nikki. Ladies first, as usual.
Well.
I want us to utuambie from the perspective of a counseling psychologist.
Yeah.
Because these days we hear a lot of people, when they talk about love, there are a lot of terminologies that are attached to love.
Yeah.
Either toxic, narcissistic, manipulation. We hear a lot of terms attached to love, and so many people are dissecting love. Unajua watu wanaangalia mapenzi si ati oh my god napenda umse anakaa poa. Watu wanaenda from a point of psychology. Wana assess, wana break down. Why do you think squeezy kuna all that easy ideologies are narcissistic love, sijui manipulation? Why do you think that has become trendy in the past few years?
Well, you know, in this era of information is everywhere. TikTok has know-it-alls. Everybody's a psychologist, everybody's a therapist, everybody's a content creator. So everybody feels like they have an opinion, you know, and everybody wants to be an opinion, you know, like an opinion leader and an opinion shaper. But, you know, at the end of it all, you have to figure out for yourself what is love? Like, what have I grown up to know what love is? Like, what defines love for me? Not TikTok, but number one, for myself. And then you figure out the right channels, you know, by which you can, like, sieve that information. Because for you, love could be something very, like, detrimental. But with the right channels, you're able to figure out, okay, my thinking about what love is not actually the right, you know, the right idea. Yeah, the right idea of what love is. Yeah,
I like that. Yeah. And that's the reality. Because sababu unajua siku hizi si wote tuko online. We have smartphones. Information is everywhere. So enyewe hata mimi nakuanga confident. So ingine with some opinions that may be wrong.
Yeah.
Because when I think about a few years back, what I used to think about and currently, I've changed, I've grown. Now, what you've said is very important because all of us have an idea of what love is. Na kila mtu anasema, kwangu mapenzi ni acts of service. Paka love language zimetokea. Huyu ukini treat vizuri, hiyo ni mapenzi. Mtu mwingine ukinipatia pesa, hiyo ni mapenzi. Mwingine kama unisumbui, that's love. So all of us have different interpretations of what love is. And Glantwill, how deeply do you think that's rooted to our childhood, or the kind of love we saw either with our parents or in the environments we saw, or even the movies that we were watching and the music we were watching? How deeply rooted do you think it's connected to our idea of love currently?
Oh, I love that question. Is it even really deeply rooted? Let's start from there. I think as a child and how I envisioned love and how I expected to grow up and experience love, I don't think it's the same. It's the same as I envisioned it from the movies, is how I saw it with my parents and all that stuff put together. Because I'll tell you one thing. I heard you talk about marriage, HUBAMBA, MAFALA. Yeah, and I wanted to touch something on that in relation to love as well.
Yeah.
You know, I have come to grow and realize that most of the things, and this has also come from my own parents, people that I've seen who are older than me. You know, we have worked with people, socialized with people, and I love that the generation that is there, including those even who are in the past, are getting an opportunity to open up and speak their mind.
Yeah.
So you realize that most of them will tell you that most of the things we actually overlook in these marriages is a lot. And that is why somebody came on board and said marriage HUBAMBA MAFALA, because you're supposed to overlook a lot of stuff for it to work.
Yeah.
And that already tells you that from the beginning there was no love. It is all fiction. It is all in the mind. It is just us trying to, you know, make this work. Okay, it works for some people, but a good number of them, a good number of people, when you listen to them speak, they'll be like, yes, I am with this person, but there's so much I overlook. There's so much that I put up with just to be with them.
Yeah.
So now, back to what now you were saying. Does it affect, or are we deeply rooted in how we believe about love and how I foresee love? Honestly, no, because now as an adult, how I'm experiencing love is totally different. I don't know if it comes with the generation I actually come from. I don't know if it's because I feel like I'm woke and I know so much already before I get myself into it. I honestly don't know, but I don't think it is deeply rooted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you've said that. Kwa sababu unajua kusema tu ukweli, the love I used to see as a child versus the love currently, it's so different. Because when I was a child, I'd look at unaona zile movies za sijui soap opera nini, uko like, hey, okay, this is love. And then you realize, no, love is not ati mtu anakupursue, ati amekuletea tu flowers. It takes a lot of work. And another thing you've said, venye watu wanasema marriage HUBAMBA MAFALA, there's a lot of compromise in marriage. Yeah. Love does not sustain a marriage. You need a lot. Marriage is about a partnership. Yes. You have to be good partners for you to make it work. Si ati, oh my God, tunapendana, huyu anakapoa, huyu ako na pesa. And that's hizo ndo vitu zenye saa ingine we don't think about. You know, when we are falling in love, senye una date mtu, we focus on the emotions that we feel. We focus on how the person makes us feel instead of what can I build with this person? What more does this person have to offer? And then on the other side, sasa, squeezy watu wanaiangalia, sasa people are analyzing relationships like excessively. So from the very first date, people come in and they're asking, what are you bringing to the table? Who are you? You know, people start psychoanalyzing from the very first date. And perhaps it's because of the generation we're in. Perhaps it's because of the information that we have, a lot of the information that we have around. But I wonder, Nikki, do you think it's healthy for us to approach relationships the way we do these days? Because siku hizi tuna calculate sana. Before tuingia kwa relationship, umefanya research, umechunguza huyu msee, umeenda unamuuliza maswali. Whereas in the past, first most likely ingeanza as friendship. I know this person, they know me, okay, tumekuwa in the same environment, then something grows from that. It was gradual. Squeezy from day one, it's like an interview. You come in and you need to check the list. If you're not checking, you're going. Do you think it's a healthy way for us to approach it, or why do you think we've adapted this new way of looking at love?
Well, it is important to do your due diligence on someone before you commit your life to them. Because if you're planning to get married, you know, you're committing your life to that person. So it's important to do like due diligence. So it's important to have that list. Oh my God, he's had some years money. Like, yeah, I got it. So it's important to have like that checklist. But then again, don't look at it as a business. You know, like, it's not like a business, like you bring this, I bring that. Okay, there has to be a bit of compromise and everything, learning each other, like finding a way to gel, you know. You and your differences and me and my differences, how can we gel into each other? So not like, and also being willing to like talk about things, you know, like your perspective on this and the other. Usikuja hapo na hardline facts about everything, you know, like kama hana hii, no, you know, like it's like there has to be some level of compromise, and then like you can't find anybody who is like 100% like what you want. Kuna kitu tuta compromise at some point, kuna kitu tutakubali 60%, ingine useme hiyo 40%. We'll see like how to, you know, how I can also bring my perspective and how well we can change. Well, the best thing is just to be teachable, listen to the other person, be teachable, and also be someone who is able to also learn from the other person. Because hizo headline zako, maybe hata see like right, you know, maybe you're like so like draw a very hard line on something which is wrong, you know, so be willing to like learn and be teachable and everything. Well,
so there has to be balance.
Yeah,
there has to be a balance of you being rigid, but also you being unaweza change, unaweza kwa like, okay, let me look at it from this perspective ya too. Because when I think about from my personal experience, I think when I was dating back 5 years ago, it's so different from what I'm looking at dating currently, because back then kuna vitu zenye I'd let slide, other things that I thought that's what I want, and then right now I've sat with myself and I realize, oh, I'm not so sure about that. But unfortunately sasa siku hizo tunaiangalia kama ni business deal, tunai approach wewe eka kwa meza. And we've seen those memes and videos people create at dating in 2025. You start asking, what are your assets? What do you think we're going to work? If not, let's split apart. In the past, we had the ile kujuana. Na sometimes it formed healthy relationships, sometimes it formed unhealthy relationships. Because sengine unapata mtu anakuwa abused in their marriage, there's gender-based violence, and maybe they did not see those things before. So, Glantwill, how can we blend the two? How can we blend ile kujuana, where you progressively get to know someone? Because basically, that's what marriage is all about. People change every day. How can we blend that plus having our standards and going through our checklist and saying, this is what I'm willing to compromise and this is not what I want? How do we balance the two?
I'm going to say something, and that is one of the things that will help us solve that is healing our childhood traumas. And this is what I'm going to say about that. You see, these people are coming up with a checklist and standards for people, especially in these relationships. It goes back to how we were brought up, how the relationship that was there between our parents. There was love, but what happened to us as kids who came as a result of love between the two? You know, when you look at research, most of the people in Kenya don't come from rich families. So as a result of their parents coming together because of love, unapata some of these kids went through a lot of suffering, a lot of struggles. Adi shule, food, nini, because their parents were in love. You understand? Yeah. What brought them together was love. They didn't have anything to build. And that is the truth. Yeah. When they were coming together, go and ask your parents. They will tell you, we didn't come together because we wanted to build an empire together. They came together because of love. And for some of them, it was not even love. It was about time. They just got to an age where they felt they needed to get married. And so they got married. And through that, when your parents were now growing and maturing and getting to a certain age, they realized that, by the way, I'm with your dad, but it's not out of love. So I actually don't even love him. So you realize that at home there's a bit of conflict, there's a bit of struggle, there's a bit of basically not so good things happening within the house. Yeah. So unapata as you grow, ukiangalia zile struggles zote mmekuwa nazo kwa hao, you now tell yourself that, by the way, whatever was going on in our home is not the same thing I want for myself. That's why people are showing up with a checklist. Because ukiangalia zile struggles mlikuwa nazo nyumbani, you're like, am I going to pick another man who is broke to go through the same shit I went through with my family? Uko like hapana. So now you ask, how can we be able to blend between basically the past, how people loved each other, and without letting go of our standards. Yeah. So I think the easiest way would be, it's going to be a bit hard because it's so hard to reverse the situation. But the only advice I would give to people basically is be ready to compromise, though not much, but be a bit ready to compromise. Because again, if you compromise too much, you fall again. Happy marriage, HUBAMBA, MAFALA. Yeah, because utakuwa too fala again. Yeah. And history will repeat itself. You'll find yourself just like your mom.
Yeah. Yes. And I love that you've given that perspective, because it doesn't necessarily mean ati mimi nimetoka kwa familia yenye nimeona both parents together that it translates to I want the same exact thing. Yeah. Sometimes you see that and you see the struggles, you realize, oh, maybe mama angechagua mtu ako na domo. Yeah. You know, or maybe they should have waited for some time before they decided to have kids. And you know, because kuna times in it we've had parents say they put their life on hold to take care of the kids, and then they start pursuing their dreams after. And there are people who've grown up, maybe they're both wealthy, but the parents are only eye to eye, like work on everything, but the parents are not together. So then they can look for love instead of pursuing money. But there needs to be a balance between the two. Lakini sasa, we've said it's important to have the checklist. It's very important to know what you want, to have these standards. The thing I've come across though, and we were also talking about it behind the scenes before we started, sometimes unaenda mtu anakuuliza, what are you looking for in a man? And then I tell you what I'm looking for. I say I want a confident man who's ambitious, who's this, that, and the other. Then this man acts like that for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what you've told him, that's what you want. The same goes for the women. Sometimes women ask, what are you looking for? Ati mimi nataka wife material nini? Msichana anakuja amesafisha nyumba, amepanga, amepika, amefanya kila kitu. Senye umemwoa una realize hata tandikangi kitanda yake. So there's the fear of, perhaps if I tell someone what I want, they're going to act like that person just to convince me. Ndo aniingize box. Nikki, do you think we should share our checklist, or should we just have it mentally to say, okay, let me see if he has this, that, and the other? Or should we explicitly tell our person, this is what I'm looking for, this is the kind of person I want, and if you're not it, bye. What do you think? How do we think we should approach that?
Well, you need to be smart about it. Don't just tell someone, I want someone who does this and this and this and this. Because I want someone who brings me flowers. I will bring you flowers today, tomorrow, the other day. You know, like, wow, okay, enough flowers now. But I think you have to be a bit more smart about it. For example, you share like values. For example, you will say, I want someone who is attentive, or someone who is, I don't know, chivalrous, you know. No, they have to figure out for themselves, okay, what does chivalry mean, you know? Does it mean that I treat, you know, and all that. So with time, you're able to see, huyu mtu anaweza interpret what I mean by, you know, being attentive, being ambitious, being this and that and that. Okay, like, okay, huyu mtu ashiki by what this is. Then you're like, okay, we don't align in that way. You know, some you want a God-fearing person, I'm going to go to church, you know, I'll send you pictures of
you know,
but you know, like, you have to tell them, but don't tell them how to do it, you know. See the interpretation of what you're looking for. If they're able to like, if you see that they're doing it in a way that you're like, okay, I think I like the interpretation of what love is, then now you can commit. But don't say, I want flowers, I want chocolates, I want money, I want evil. Because I'll do that just to get you, but then...
Exactly, because you can't really tell if someone is genuine ama hapana. Because maybe, hata ajui flowers inabai wangapi, but because umesema you want flowers and this person wants you, attend data online, naseme eka order every single week ziko zinapelekwa. And then after you get together, you realize he doesn't even care about flowers like that.
He's like,
you know,
I got her, maua.
Imeisha, your story sasa imedai. And we've seen a lot of that, unfortunately, where people ni kama wana catfish ndo inge kwa relationship. You know, I come and present myself as a girl mwenye unajua mimi nakuanga niko respectful, sienangi club. Tukianza kudate unanipata dunda. Mpaka mimi ndo najua mabouncer wa huko. And that happens a lot these days. Glantwill, as we talk about this as well, and we've also mentioned compromise. So of course tuko na vitu zenye tunataka. There are things that we really want in a partner. So let's say I'm saying I want someone who's God-fearing, but then sija specify kama ni God-fearing lakini anaendanga club, anaendanga sherehe. So maybe I'm looking for a God-fearing person who's in church. Then I find this person ako God-fearing, anaomba, anaenda hiyo church, yes, but kwa sherehe pia ako. How do we compromise? And then when do we know what to compromise on? What values ama what standards do we sit with? Now tunakana partner yetu tunasema, because I really want this person and everything else is working out, I'm willing to compromise this thing or the other thing without doing too much. Venye umesema, without sisi wenyewe kujifinya ama giving too much to the person, ndio ikuwe ni kama wewe ni fala. How do we balance and how do we know what to compromise on and what not to?
I think the best way to tackle that would be lead people on to your expectations. Like, don't, just like she said, don't tell them I want A, B, C, D, but lead them to your expectation. Like, for example, you talked about God-fearing. Maybe I'm into somebody who goes into church. I don't have to constantly keep asking you if you go to church, about your family going to church and stuff like that. Maybe if I enjoy going to church, I could invite you once or twice or 3 times. I see how you feel around me, being in church, and us being in church in general. At the same time, if you're that person who actually believes in God and still goes to the club, okay, I believe people will go to the club also. Some of them believe in God. And I still find a bit of fun in that, then that's where compromise also comes in. Because if I can also be able to put up with the fact that you can still go to the club, believe in God, and be this God-fearing person, and I'm able to do that, then that means this can actually work. If we sat down and like we put out the rules, not necessarily rules, but me basically telling you, I would love this to this extent, I wouldn't love this to this extent. Because again, with relationships, there has to be openness. In as much as I don't want to put all my expectations out there for you to basically pretend or act right, I have to be also open about it. Like, you know what? Mi napenda mse huenda church, napenda dem mwenye anaimbanga kwa praise and worship and stuff like that. So if in any way you're able to like find yourself in that space, I'd feel great. I'd really appreciate that. But again, I need to be somebody who can, in case you don't get to that level, I want you to understand that I'm still okay with you being who you are. And that is where we fail, because people are never ready to accept you for who you are. They want you to be what they want you to be. And you can never change a person. People change because they want to change, not because you've made them change. You know, you have to tell yourself that by the napenda umse na hii club enye naendanga in as much as I love God and I'm a God-fearing person, let me choose one path. Not necessarily for them, but pia umeka chini uko na the sense. You understand? So you have to call yourself a meeting. Na ujiulize, do I see sense in it? Unajua, we lose our senses most of the time anytime we get into a relationship. Na tunatumia akili ya mtu mmoja. I don't know why that happens.
Hata I don't think anaenda kwa akili ya a full grown person. The brain of a toddler. You know.
That's why we keep saying person so and so used me, because you lost yourself in the process of being in this relationship. You completely lost yourself.
Lost yourself in it.
And that's why you feel used.
And I love the way you say that, because I asked Nikki about this before. There's a show that's been talked about very popularly. It's called The Summer Turned Pretty. And kazini yangu alifanya nikarudi kuiwatch, because I was watching it, I was like, season 1, watu wako na ufala. But watching it, I feel like it really taught me a lot, and I could observe the relationship dynamic between one that's healthy and one that's very unhealthy. Now, unaona venye unasema about compromise and learning someone, there's a lot of that. And one thing I noticed, I picked from this show, and I've had it imeongelewa a few times before, love is consideration. Love is about considering my partner. What would they think if I did this? How would they feel about the situation? How can I involve them in this conversation? Because you about openness. Unfortunately, in relationships, you need to be very open. Whether you like it or not, you need to be vulnerable. You need to open your walls. Like, ufungwe tu roho yako uambie mtu, this is what I want, this is who I am. Maybe not necessarily date 1, week 1, but as you progress, for it to work, that has to be a factor. Nikki, hii generation yetu, kila mtu anajifikiria. Most people rather, they prioritize themselves. I'm going to prioritize how Cheryl feels, what I want in a relationship, how I want to be loved. And sometimes we use that, venye mimi nataka kupendwa, ndo naenda kupenda mtu kama Glantwill. I don't try to learn who is Glantwill, what does he like. We just want what we want, you know. How can we switch that perspective and be more considerate to our partners? Because we keep complaining everyone is selfish, everyone is selfish. How do we change that narrative? Because it definitely has to start with us. So how can we become more considerate with our partners and the people around us?
Okay, well, there's this thing that's popular online called the 3-month rule, whereby like you give yourself some time before you commit to somebody, and in that period, it's okay to be selfish. You know, it's okay to be selfish because you're still conducting like interviews. You know, like you're still interviewing this person. Do I really want to like date this person like kabisa? You know, so in that period, it's okay to be selfish. Like, I'm gonna stand for this, but not this. You know, if it's okay to have hard boundaries at that point. But okay, decide that I actually want to like pursue a relationship with this person, now start anza kulegeza from there. But in the beginning, when you're still getting to know each other, please be as selfish as possible, because you want to settle for the person who is like best for you. You know, like you have your core values, so you have to like figure out, does this person like number 1 have this? If not, then you know, like you start letting them down slowly, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, down the road you have to, like, at some point now start gelling. But in the beginning, please be selfish, and say no, and strong no's and strong yeses, you know.
I love that, because first, that requires ujijue.
Yeah.
Secondly, it requires you to have patience, because the 3-month rule, people have that, and we've been pushing for it. I remember there was this book that Kitambo, like Think Like a Man, it advocated for stuff like that, 90-day rules, where you actually get to know someone. Siku zote wana patience. Tumekutana tushakulana. Hiyo story imedai. Tunajuana tukiendanga.
Down the road.
You know, and that's what leads to a lot of relationships breaking down, because we don't actually know the people that we want to hook up with, or the people we've gotten with. So Glantwill, how can we become more patient and learn, I really want to pursue this person, so I'm willing to commit this 3 months, especially without expectations. Wacha tuongelea hapo without expectations. Let me pause it, alafu niambie as a man. Then we'll toss it and figure out how women we can also do that. So as a man, how do we control ourselves and say for 3 months I'm not going to cross certain borders, because I want to know who this person is, and I want to really understand if they're the person who's the best partner for me. How do you do that?
Honestly, we are so physical. Like, as men, we are so physical. Because the first thing when you see, obviously, is the attraction before we get to know someone. And the funny thing about men is, with time is when we get to learn you. We don't learn you like, I will be lying to you if I told you, if I meet you today, whatever you tell me about yourself today, I might not even remember anything. Yeah, but with time, it's true. It's true. But with time is when I get to understand, by there anapendanga hivi, by there anapenda hivi, by there anapenda hivi, with time. So I think us learning the art of patience before we could actually respect and appreciate the 90-day rule, the 3 months rule, would possibly be us meeting in spaces where it will not allow us to get to that level of being so vulnerable. And this is two-way. Women also have to make their end be a bit airtight, so that we don't find ourselves within those spaces. Because I would be lying to you if I told you that if you allow yourself to find yourself with a man in a space where itakuwa ngumu kwake, like, to be very honest, for them to exercise that patience is going to be very difficult. Because the minute you come into their space, already before where akili yako probably was not even there, but yeye alikuwa anajua kama unakuja, definitely it's going down. Whether you're going to be a thing or not a thing,
there's that mindset
of this has to go down. Whether kesho ataamka asemeane and home ataki so wewe hiyo ni yako,
leo ni mechi.
Bora tumepiga mechi.
And I like that because I want us to circle back to where should we date. Because watu wengi wanasema to date kwa nyumba, kuja kwa nyumba, kuja kwa where should we date, guys, so that tuone kama hii marriage for real inaweza work, or is love something that we're willing to commit to. I want to hear from you, because I want us to take a very short break, tukunywe maji, to hydrate, mkuje mniambie, tell me your experiences, tell me your opinions about this conversation. Is love worth the commitment? Do you think marriage works these days? Ama marriage HUBAMBA MAFALA for real? Go and tell me by going to our platforms at Y254 across all socials. Let's take a very short break. We'll be back with so much more.